with the empowerment is we encourage people to make mistakes. I always say I probably make twice as many decisions as everyone because I make them fast, and I make like one or two out of those 10 decisions will be a mistake, but that's okay because I got the other 8 done much faster. I encourage the team to do the same thing. They don't need to check with everybody. They just need to do their research, do their best, and make a decision and keep the ball moving.
I think at the end of the day, where if you're not making mistakes, you're holding yourself back and you're not going to reach your full potential.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Creating an ownership culture. What does that mean to you? Well, I can tell you what it isn't. It doesn't require you to have a financial instrument that backs up this ownership, options, profit sharing. It helps, but it doesn't require it. So what is the formula for an ownership culture? Well, I've seen that some of the key ingredients to this: empowerment, inclusion, transparency, trust, a value that is given to the employees that continues to increase over time. More skills, more experience. They show up not because they're here to collect a paycheck. They show up because they want to. They don't do the work just because they have to. They do it because they want to. When you can inspire an ownership culture as a leader, you have more than just people doing the work. You have a family. You have a tribe. You have people that are connected together and aligned to a common mission. All of those things are true. Today, we have a company that lives this and breathes it every day. PRX Performance. They create home equipment that is professional grade, but also space saving. They have patents around this. Really great to see how they're exploding through the coronavirus issues that are going on right now. But not every business is able to do that. But one reason why they're able to is because their people are able to see these things coming and make decisions, and they've given them the power to do that. They've empowered them. We talk about some of the details and how they do that in their meetings, and it really does help align them together and create this ownership culture. We have with us the CEO, Brasch, and we have President Erik Hopperstad. Had to look at my notes here. They grew really fast through the Inc. list, and they're booming because of coronavirus. You want to tune in this episode because you could learn something from their ownership culture that will allow you to be the leader that your team deserves. Now here's Erik and Brian. Thanks for tuning in here to Grow Think Tank. Really excited about sharing this with you. And before you run, I have done so many interviews in the last few weeks. I have such an exciting time to share with you that those interviews have been organized into the 12 core principles of fast growth companies. So all you have to do to get that is go to genehammett.com/worksheet. So you can get the 12 principles, and I've been able to go in there and find which episodes will align to each individual episode. When you subscribe to Grow Think Tank, you will find exactly what you need so that you can move forward. And many of them haven't been published yet, depending on when you're hearing this, but you can tune in to the date that means the most to you. Hi guys, how are you?
Excellent, Gene. How are you doing today? Thanks for having us on.
Doing well, Gene.
Excited to have you. Don't get a chance to do a three-way kind of interview much, but I'm excited to have two founders here that are committed to a bigger mission than just making money. So I want you to tell our audience a little bit about PRX Performance.
You bet. So PRX started as an idea around a campfire and beers, as probably most ideas start that way. And but it changed the next day, and we actually bought a web domain and put it into action. And since then, it's been an amazing ride, and grew it to about a $10 million business. But now with this economy, we're actually on a run rate to hit about 100 million, annually this year, given the latest pandemic that's going on. So it's been a challenging but fun ride.
I know you guys are probably thinking through this. Some businesses are seeing a boom from the opportunity. Your as I understand, the products that you have really do fit well with a home gym. Just give us a little bit of idea of what you're selling and what you're offering.
So basically the core product mix we have is space-saving fitness equipment. So we try to develop, design, and patent products that allow people to essentially have that commercial gym experience in a small space. So in their home, in their garage, small commercial space, that's just kind of our niche and what we focus on, and just build around it every day.
I love it. I think that, the wise leaders are thinking about what the new normal will be. And if you think about individuals, some people will enjoy working out at home more than they enjoyed going to the gym. So maybe this will continue as a pattern for you.
I think we'll definitely see a bit of a permanent change in consumer behavior after we all get through this.
Well, I want to dive into this. You guys had a quick ride up to the Inc. list, and you have about 40 employees. Is that about right?
More every day, yes.
One of the keys to your growth, you had said, was a sense of ownership. What do you mean by an ownership inside your culture?
So I was told many years ago by a mentor that the true test of leadership is when you go on vacation. What happens to your business? Does it dwindle? Does it thrive? Are there fire drills? So what we've instilled, neither Erik nor I are on site more than but a handful of days per year. So when we went out to hire employees, not only we look for passion, we look for people who were experts in their area, and that we could essentially, with just a little amount of training, set them loose and essentially entrust them with the day-to-day decisions. And that allowed Erik and I to step back and focus on strategy and growth, which was necessary, obviously, with what we've accomplished.
I love this approach, but you guys started out early. Where did you get that from? I know you talked about the vacation test. I've heard this before, but where did you really learn it and decide that's what you wanted to base your business on?
I think it probably, we were almost forced into it, even though we had this in mind. I think the business got to a point where, neither one of us could do it all. And, then of course, employee number one comes along, and as things continue to, hockey stick, so to speak, you're forced to delegate whether you're comfortable with it or not. And whether you're comfortable with it or you're forced to do it, you learn how powerful that is. So having the right people in the right places is just that much more important.
Well, I know there's some real advantages to it, and it's one of the core big ideas that come out of these conversations, but I'm happy to have it with you guys. I'm sure I'll learn something new and we'll take it to a deeper level, but I want to start breaking this down. Like, have you thought about kind of a formula or a framework around this sense of ownership?
I think when you start looking at people as a whole, I would say 90% of our recruiting has happened in CrossFit gyms and boxes. Now, granted, that's what our product is too, but I don't think that's a requirement. If you look at people who wake up at 5 a.m. and work out, have a huge sense of community, and not only that, but they help their friends and their community become better too. That type of person is who you want in your operation, whether they're in marketing, whether they're in finance, whether they're out in the warehouse. Those core values just become the foundation of your culture. And the culture is one of the most important things about our business. When you walk in the door, you feel the energy, you see the smiles, you see everyone just there to serve.
Now hold on for a second. They just said culture was important. How important have you made culture inside your business? Are you more focused on the strategy of execution? Are you more focused on the metrics coming out of it? Or have you taken the time to be intentional about the culture you want to create? Have you created the time to really think about how that unity and loyalty happens across the company? The rituals that you have either support your culture or take energy away from it. Your job as a leader is to tune into that culture, to shape it, and to create a place that people love to come to work. I wanted to add this in here because it's just such an important piece that a lot of people forget when they're focused on strategy, metrics, and even that bottom line. I know it's important. It's why we're here, but you want to create a place where people love to come to work so that they give their heart and soul to it and create that space for them to grow. That's a strong culture. And back to the interview. So hiring is important for sure. And I know there's probably some other pieces behind it, but I want to go beyond hiring. When you are bringing someone on, one of the elements I've seen that's such an important to inspire ownership is empowering them. And you guys just mentioned earlier, hire an expert and set them loose, with a little bit of training, but you also want them to make decisions. Tell me just a little bit about this sense of empowerment that you guys look for.
So with the empowerment is we encourage people to make mistakes. I always say I probably make twice as many decisions as everyone because I make them fast, and I make like 1 or 2 out of those 10 decisions will be a mistake, but that's okay because I got the other 8 done much faster. I encourage the team to do the same thing. They don't need to check with everybody. They just need to do their research, do their best, and make a decision and keep the ball moving. Now, if you make a mistake, no problem. Just learn from it. So next time you have that same situation, hopefully we don't make a mistake next time. But it allows us to grow faster and move the ball down the field significantly faster than most other companies.
I think at the end of the day, where if you're not making mistakes, you're holding yourself back, and you're not going to reach your full potential.
One more second here. Encouraging fast decisions, well, that starts at the top. You must lead by example. If you are struggling to create the kind of decisions that are necessary for the company to move forward, whether they be small or large, people would take that cue from you. So you want to make sure you are making those decisions fast, that you are being decisive when need to be. I'm not saying that you've got to make every decision at the flip of a coin, but you've got to be decisive. If you want your employees to be decisive, then you can't hem and haw. You can't, let's take some time and kick the can down the road. You've got to be able to make decisions. Maybe you come up with a decision to test something. Maybe you come up with a decision on how we can move forward or what the next step is, but you make decisions. If you want your employees to make decisions fast, you've got to make your own decisions fast. Hopefully this is helpful. I want to shine a light on this because I see this is a big issue across many leaders that aren't really making the decisions as fast as they want to. And it comes down to trust. They don't trust themselves. And if you don't have trust inside your own leadership, your team can feel it. Let's look at that at a deeper level, because I want to make sure the audience really understands what you mean by this. Do you put some boundaries around this? Do you give them, some level of stay in between these lines, or do you go, you can do whatever you want to do right here?
We don't really have any boundaries, Brian, I wouldn't say.
No.
I think with that said, though, they all know when the good time is to maybe give us a call, or if they want to run something by us, and we encourage that too. But for the most part, we want them to run. Yeah.
When Erik and I started the company, we agreed that if there was any expenditure over $200, we would have a discussion about it. I was in the office 3-4 months ago, and a document came across my controller's desk, and she said, "Do you know about this?" And I looked, and one of my executives signed a $75,000 contract. And I was like, I trust her. I mean, it's just go for it. Just if it makes sense, I trust him.
It might even have been $100, Brian.
I think it was 100.
It's amazing how things start out in the beginning as like, oh, these are really good ideas. And that now you are comfortable and you really trust your team. And that does say a lot about ownership. Now, you've got 40 employees, and a lot of people think it's hard to create ownership across that many employees. I want to make sure, I don't know the answer to this. Are you using like options or any kind of ESOP or profit sharing with them so that they have a financial stake in ownership?
So we did start the business with an option pool. So there was about 16 people that helped us get off the ground, and we offered to pay them cash or give them options. Everybody took options. A few of those people cashed out early, but over half are still with us, and they're seeing now more than a a 10x return on their money. And I expect that to continue to go up. But for the day-to-day people, which I think is even more important, what we've committed to them is a profit sharing number. So twice a year, we take the profit and we pay them based on their hours worked and their total salary. So this year, everyone's going to get a very nice check in June, and we also make sure we get it to December for the holidays. And that, I think, really motivates them. And I'll say one thing even more important, though, than profit sharing is, people talk about community or family. One thing we do every Monday morning is all 40 people, until COVID started, we gather around our conference room, and it gets pretty full now. We're running out of space again. But we all say one thing about our weekend, our favorite thing or highlight of the weekend. And then we say one important thing that we're doing that week with the business that people should be aware of. And this meeting still only takes a half an hour, but you hear who's having a kid, who did something special, who got engaged. There's all these amazing stories, and it really creates a family atmosphere. And I wouldn't trade that for anything.
A lot of people shy away from the personal elements, but you actually have brought it into a ritual that you do every Monday. What have you seen as the way that relates to people binding together?
I think you can just tell by the interaction of everybody on a daily basis, whether that's in group messaging or, in the actual workplace. They just interact differently. They treat each other more like a family member as opposed to, a quote unquote coworker or colleague. It's a totally different animal.
Any other rituals that you can share with us that get together people around this sense of ownership?
So you want your customers to have that same feeling of having something special. I mean, they're coming to us for a premium product and a premium experience. So not only after people order, they get special emails and messages and understanding the whole experience. When their package shows up, they actually have a handwritten note on the box, something like, go get those gains. Thanks for your order, Team PRX. Something simple, but we have a rule that if we can get one more shipment out that day at the expense of not writing on a box, we hold that shipment back. We make sure every box has that handwritten note. And that's what makes us special. And then when you open the box, there's another little gift inside of it that they didn't order or paid for. And it's amazing on social media. Half of the people, half of the posts on PRX is a picture of the box with a handwriting on it. People love it, and they just want to feel special. And it's a great way to kick off their new fitness journey.
Love little details like that. I have said this for years from the stage and through this show that you don't have to give a financial reward to get someone to take ownership. And actually, ownership is best described as an internal drive, an internal feeling. One of those is empowerment. Another one is I've seen is inclusion. When you think about including people into, some decisions that are being made and letting the team bat around and brainstorm that stuff, have you seen that to be a part of your ownership formula?
Yeah, I would say without a doubt. I mean, Brian and I both make a lot of decisions for the business, but I don't know that there's very many decisions that we make that may or may not impact them that we don't get feedback from them on. We always value any of their input. We want to hear any concerns. We want to hear what we might be missing in a case like that.
And I also find that a part of that is the ability to be transparent. When you set out to lead this team into, higher sales and really reaching the mission you have, do you include transparency as a part of that? Like, are they free to talk about what's really going on, and so that you can hear it, and vice versa? Are they able to accept that level of transparency when you have to give them feedback?
Yeah, like even today, I think we're very transparent. Yesterday was a hard day for us. Everyone's very stressed. They're working just crazy hours. I think a lot of time when people are sheltered at home with their families, our team is grinding so hard. So I heard that there was a lot of people are scared, they're nervous, they're stressed, a few mental breakdowns. So we got together, like, how do we fix this? And we decided that we're shutting off our website this weekend. We're not taking any sales, because more important than profits and sales is making sure that our people are happy. So we're giving everyone, it's Easter weekend, don't even think of coming into work.
I'm going to ask you a big key question. I don't ask this as much anymore, but I've asked hundreds of founders, and I never know what's going to happen, because you could say anything you want to here. But I find that fast growth companies react to this question differently. And it's almost the impossible question. As a leader, and I know there's two of you here, but as a leader, what's more important, your customers or your employees?
I was going to let Erik answer first, but I'll take it. It's definitely the employees, because if you take care of your employees, they will take care of the customers. It's very simple. And I think we've only had like 2 people quit our company in 7 years, because there's just, and those 2 are amicable. There's one gentleman we still have over at our annual holiday party. We all go out to the lake and we spend a weekday just surfing and being together. And but you have to take care of your people. It's your family, and they do. That transfers on to your customers.
That's what I've seen, and I'll give you the data behind it. 94% of the people I ask that question to that are in the Inc. 5000 will say it's employees. Now, outside of that, slow growing companies, big companies, like really huge corporate companies, will say it's customers. I get that it's an impossible question, but we've seen it with this whole COVID-19. We've seen a huge surgence of companies that are taking care of themselves and those that are taking care of their employees. And I know it's a hard decision. If you've got to conserve cash, you want the business to be safe and be here beyond this, right? There's some people that I've talked to, some people that have lost 80% of their business. You guys are booming inside of this. But I really appreciate you guys sharing your insights around ownership. I want to give you one last kind of question. Is there anything that I should have asked you about ownership that we haven't covered today?
There's probably another thing that we could throw in on the ownership thing that's just kind of happened within our organization. Empowering people, thinking outside the box. We have a number of patents now, and quite a few in the pipeline. And I think, I'm not sure when this is going to happen, Brian, but we have a product in R&D right now. And for the first time, we're going to have one of our employees' names on that patent. And that is super cool.
Yeah. I see your smile on that, Brian. It's got to be pretty rewarding to know that they've shared ideas and you've let them run with it. And others see that too. And it adds to everyone feeling that sense of ownership around the company.
Yeah, it's, I would say I've talked to over 100 inventors over the last few years, and they come to me with ideas. And in all honesty, I've only liked 2 of the ideas. And when my employee came to me with this idea, it was a no-brainer. And I'm like, what resources do you need? Let's get an engineer on it. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I think I'm going to be more proud of that patent than the other dozen that we've already been issued. It's an amazing feeling.
I would agree 100%.
Well, I appreciate you guys being here, being a part of the Growth Think Tank team, and sharing your wisdom.
Thanks a lot, Gene. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Gene. Appreciate your time.
Fantastic interview. I love talking to people about the sense of ownership. I love how it binds people together. Yes, they do have some options and they have profit sharing, but you can probably realize you don't have to have those things. You can actually engineer them with intention. You can make it important for employees to make decisions, to make failure okay, to include them into the strategies moving forward, and even to give them a chance to create their own products with their own patents. Loved when leaders are willing to give credit to others. It lit them up when they talked about giving the chance to an employee to have a patent. All this I share with you because I know you as a leader want to continue growing and evolving. I work with leaders through the defining moments of their leadership to challenge them, to keep them really clear about how they've got to move forward. What do they need to let go of? And how do they need to show up for the next stage of their own leadership. That's my work. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to get to know you. So make sure you reach out to me, Gene at genehammett.com. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.